All right, just finished up some maintenance on the turbo Camaro here. Haven't forgotten about the car. I just really haven't had time to work on it. And with our local track closed, like I said, Osceola Dragway closed down this year, so that just irritated me. So I just wanted to kind of walk away from it and kind of move on to the circle track stuff and take care of a bunch of other projects. But season's pretty much over now, so I'm completely done with the circle track stuff. So that gave me a little bit of time to work on this. So what I did tonight is I actually had the fitting for the oil drain on the turbo was leaking just a little bit, but I had to take it completely apart to fix that. So I kind of been putting that off. So I took that all apart. I got that fixed up, and I don't know if I can show you guys or not. You can kind of just see where that big line comes in the back side of that bolt. But basically I had to take the whole flange off and the line off. And it is a pain because the wrenches is 1.125 and 1.25 inches. And that is a really large wrench to get in there. But long story short, that's all fixed. But the other thing I was working on is I noticed the last time I drove it that the boost kind of spiked up higher than what it normally would with the boost controller off. And so I took it out 2 or 3 weeks ago. I drove it around for a little while. And when I'd roll into the boost, I noticed it was just coming up higher than what I remembered it coming up. But it was also spinning, and it was also pretty cold out, so I knew that was going to be a factor. But long story short, the line that goes to the bottom of the gate, let me grab the flashlight. So I was just looking around really well and checking out all my lines. It's kind of a common thing, unfortunately. But this line that goes to the bottom of the gate was actually melted down on this header. You can actually see the plastic on that header tube. So that very first header tube, if you look to the inside, that black melted stuff is that line. So I had it secured right here, and that zip tie must have broke at some point. So it allowed the line to flip over here, worked its way back, and got melted. So I got that fixed up. But so I knew I wanted to check over the line, so I got that fixed. So boost will be back the way it always was. But the other thing that I didn't like is the least amount of boost I could make on the trans brake with the controller off was 6 psi. Now, that's not really like a huge deal because I can control it with timing from there, but I just wanted to be able to turn it down a little bit more, say like a 4 psi leave if I needed to. Right now I had no ability to do that because the spring in the wastegate was too stiff, and then also with the boost controller off, it'd make like 12 pounds out on the street. On a really cold night, it'd make like 14, somewhere right in there with the boost controller off. So I didn't really like that. I wanted it to be more like 8 or 10 pounds when the controller's off. So basically just needed to lighten up that wastegate spring. That way I can lower the boost numbers, and I'll use the controller to add more boost from there. I really never changed it because it worked just fine for what I was doing. Going to a softer spring now gives me more ability to ramp in a lower boost number quicker, or if the track surface isn't very good, I can launch on lesser boost, so on and so forth. So just something I needed to do, so I finally got around to that. I put a 4 psi wastegate spring in it. If I had to guess, it's honestly probably going to make 8 with that spring. The wastegate placement isn't perfect on this. It actually is pretty decent, and it's a 60 millimeter wastegate. And, you know, they say put it like a river flows. It's got a really nice arch to it, but even with that, just knowing the car never makes exactly what it should with the spring. So I think it'll now probably make 8 and probably something like 3 or 4 on the trans brake. So that should be perfect. That'll give me the ability to kind of mess around on surfaces that aren't as prepped or really sketchy, things like that. So kind of where my mind was there is just gives me a little bit more tunability. And again, it's just something I needed to get to. But yeah, pretty much just checking over the car tonight, finishing up some loose ends. Honestly, at this moment, to make a pass in the car, I really, if it was like a radial prep, it's ready to go right now. But if it's a sketchier prep, I just need to loosen up the front struts, put some travel back in the front end. I'm going to leave the lower control arms where they're at right now. I've got them kind of with a little bit more anti-squat than what you'd probably want for a slick, but I want to try it because I used to run it where it's at right now and I know it works. So may try that, and basically I need to put the slicks back on it. So just kind of running through everything. Haven't decided if I'm going to take it out one time before the year's over or not. Leaning towards I probably won't, just because it's so late in the season and I really don't want to buy tires this late in the season just to sit all winter, but we'll see. Just figured I'd give you guys an update of what we've been doing. I haven't forgotten about the car. I do miss racing it. I will get it back out, hopefully sooner than later, but I think that'll be it for tonight. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Keep it saucy.